All right, this is the bonus section where Adam Carolla gets to talk to me and hopefully sell more books, and we continue to make some ad-lib progress in your book sales to really highlight what it's about. The name of the book is Everything Reminds Me of Something, Adam Carolla. Adam, advice, answers, but no apologies. And you have everything from random listeners, fans of yours who wrote you questions, to celebrities like Ray Romano who wrote you questions. Who gave you the idea for the premise of this book?
It was not mine. A guy by the name of Mike Lynch, who I write all my books with, said, wouldn't this be a funner format? And at first I was kind of like, I don't know. And then I've kind of realized as I was doing the process of writing the book, which is when you write a book, as you know, or make a documentary, as I know, or write a book, you think about, here's the subject, here's what I want to do, and here's what I want to talk about. This was a way to have someone go, other people go, I want you to think about this. And then I'd go like, I never thought about that. And then you're forced to kind of get out of your box a little and think about questions and problems that weren't necessarily things you would have written about. And that's what makes this one a little bit interesting.
So, Adam, since you're not going to get invited currently to a think tank, you make every day your think tank.
Yes.
My opinion only, it's because your unique life experience. You had a, I would say, unorthodox upbringing. You had a blue-collar job after blue-collar job, who very appreciated the white-collar job and wonder if this is indeed work. Pioneered your own podcast. All of that leads to life experience. It gives you a unique perspective to be the Socrates of your generation, just from your life experience. Do you like my summation?
I rarely get compared favorably to Socrates, so I appreciate it.
Right. Who didn't write anything down. Plato wrote it down, made all the money. By the way.
Oh, really?
Yes. We're going to go over that later. I love the fact that you're doing stand-up and haven't backed off of your so-called material that is maybe listed as risque. I find fascinating and inspiring. And you write in your book that Sarah Silverman came up to you backstage at the Comedy Store, and she repeated a joke, and this is right from your book, that had to do with black people saying she thought it was a brilliant joke. You said, okay. You said, I've used it in another book, and I'll skip right to the punchline. She says, too bad you can't use it anymore.
Right.
And you said, really? So this is the punchline of the joke, that she says you can't use it anymore. How are the world's fastest people the world's slowest pedestrians? She said it made her laugh, but too bad it's a joke that she can't use. It's a funny joke. You still use it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have...
And she's risque on the...
Tons and tons of jokes, but
like
it does. No, not necessarily like that, but I do have so many jokes that I kind of mix and match, and I don't normally use everything all the time. But the fact, I took note because the fact that a comedian and a friend who has made her bones saying things that made people uncomfortable sort of said, this is funny, too bad you can't use it because it's about a different culture. And I thought, wow, that seems like the opposite of what we're here to do, you know, as comedians. I don't feel like you go, I can't speak of this, you know, or I can't speak of that. That's your job as a comedian, is to go, whether it's your mother-in-law or your mother-in-law or his or her mother-in-law, I get to talk about it because I'm on stage with a microphone.
Have you had it happen yet where people say, I'm a little offended by that remark? Because I know a lot of people do stand-up, maybe not at your level, and people get offended in the audience. Do you find that people that come to a comedy club are looking for that, or are they also judging you up there?
You know, it's different. So it's kind of regional.
It is different.
If you go to the middle of the country and kind of say what you want, you know, go to West Hollywood, it's a little different story. It's also an age thing. Like, you'll have 23-year-olds in the audience, you know, talking back, saying you can't say that, or oh, no way, or whatever it is. Happen. You'll have it if I'm doing my show and I'm in St. Louis, those will just be my fans who've come to hear what I have to say. But if you go to the Laugh Factory on any given night or the Comedy Store on any given night, it's just tourists. They're not there to see me. They're there to see comedy. And you will hear them talk. And they're perfectly comfortable with saying, like, no. I mean, could you imagine being 23 and Rodney Dangerfield's on the stage and he starts in on a joke, you're like, hey, Rodney, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Don Rickles is a little bit over the edge. I find you a little bit nasty.
Right. Right. It's just the notion that you could dictate anything. It's really just all the sanctimonious sort of douchebaggery that we've, and we've also, it is the self-esteem movement. We raised these kids telling them they were great, they were perfect, their opinion was valid, and now they go to the show and they think they can, conduct the band with their own invisible baton.
Which is interesting because growing up for you, no one ever told you were great, so therefore you had to develop your own self-esteem, if I remember your past books.
Yeah, and I never really developed it. I just was like, hey, here's what you do, here's what you don't do what you do, figure out a way to get paid doing what you want to do.
And lastly, when you see Dave Chappelle get in trouble, arguably the best comedian in the country, other people, I remember Norm Macdonald passed away recently, got himself in trouble on something he said. He went on a late night show, and I actually don't remember exactly what he said, but he had to apologize. When you see guys that are so successful and they're in trouble, does that make you wonder if maybe you got to rethink the business ever?
As you mentioned, I have a tangible skill, which is carpentry. So I always have, everyone else got to go back to waiting
You could always
tables.
sand something.
There's always wood to be sand.
Right.
There's wood to be planed. There's wood to be routed. There's wood to be joined.
Right.
There's wood to be framed. It's a cornucopia of wood that needs to be put together. And
people need a coffee
man.
table, and you're the guy they could always fall back on.
Yes, and take a little pay cut. But I would have my dignity.
All right. Thank you. And you still have it while still on stage. Adam, congratulations on all your success.
Thanks, Brian.